Making America safe again. Team coverage today of cleaning up crime and drugs on our nation's streets. Thanks for watching Spin Room. Good to have you here with us. I'm Vanessa Broussard. We begin in Washington, D.C. Just yesterday, the president announced bold action to restore law and order. Minutes after his announcement, 850 officers and agents were deployed across the city. They made a total of 23 arrests. The media twisting the narrative, of course. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responded today. Take a listen.
I have murders on my Ring camera and mass shootings. I witnessed a woman on my block get held up at gunpoint for $20, and my house was set ablaze in an arson with my infant child inside. And so to any reporter that says and lies that DC is a safe place to live and work, let me just say this. Thank you. Thank you for making the city safe, because no parent should have to go through what my family went through, having the fire department rip open their door to save their infant child. And so thank you for your work on securing this city. My question to you is this. Nancy Pelosi has attacked the president for deploying the National Guard to the city, saying that it is to cover for his incompetence. Hillary Clinton has also attacked the president for securing the city of Washington, D.C. I'd like to get your response to Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton.
Sure. Well, first of all, Benny, I'm so sorry that happened to you and your family. There have been, unfortunately, far too many victims of crime in this city, and I know the majority of residents in the District of Columbia agree with you. In fact, a new poll from the Washington Post I was reading this morning, this was released in May of 2024, so it's quite funny how many of you in the media agreed with what the president was saying yesterday, but now once the president says it, many of you are disagreeing with him. But this poll released by the Washington Post found that 65% of district residents think crime is an extremely serious or a very serious problem, and this was up from 56% last year. So the concern that you share with so many other residents in the District of Columbia is real, and that's why this president is taking action to address it. To get to the heart of your question, I think it's despicable that Democrats cannot agree that we need more law and order in a city that has been ravaged by violence, crime, murders, property theft. This should be a winning issue for all Americans. I don't understand. It's just anything President Trump does, the Democrats want to disagree with. I think the president would love to work with Democrats on this issue to bring law and order to America's cities, but unfortunately they have failed, and that's why he's taken this historic action to federalize the National Guard. And as you're seeing from last night's numbers, we already have seen success. We are removing violent offenders, we are arresting criminals, and we are removing drugs and firearms off of the streets of the city to make it safer for all of its residents.
And it should be a winning issue for all Americans, like Caroline Leavitt just said. But yet there were still protests in the streets. But remember, a lot of times when there are protests against President Trump or Republicans, they're paid protesters by the Democrats. But President Trump is still wanting to clean up the streets, and he will. A big problem we're seeing are drugs. We hear about fentanyl, but there's one not getting much attention. So we're going to bring attention to that today right here on Spin Room. It's called the zombie drug, and it's spreading. We want to warn you that the video you are about to see is very graphic. Disturbing videos showing people slumped over, frozen in place, or staggering in the streets. Their bodies rigid, their minds barely conscious. Experts say it's dangerous, and it's a mix with fentanyl. And the drug that they're using is used in veterinarian clinics for animals. It's a tranquilizer for animals. The combination not only increases the risk of overdose, but leaves users in a trance-like state for hours. Police and paramedics are warning this drug is cheap, highly addictive, and nearly impossible to reverse once it takes hold. So once it takes hold, it's hard to get off of this. Let's bring in Sheriff Richard Mack. Sheriff, good to have you here with us. Always a pleasure to have you here on Spin Room. I hope you can hear me. I think you just froze up, but this is scary to watch. You know, we have this video that we want to show our viewers. Again, a graphic warning to show them this is the reality of what's going on in our streets, this zombie drug, and families are having to walk by, people on their way to work. What's your thought on this?
Well, I actually spent a night in Washington, D.C., in Precinct 7, which was the most violent part of Washington, D.C. It was way back in 1992 when I attended the FBI National Academy, and Reggie Smith was part of our academy class, and I asked him if I could go riding with his police department, and he actually arranged it for me. It was on a Saturday night, and I will tell you that it was a absolutely eye-opening, horrible experience. All it was one code 3 run after another. That's lights and siren. It was lights and siren all night long. It was like a war zone. People coming into the police department where I was waiting for my ride along with the sergeant. I don't remember his last name, but I remember Lieutenant Smith very well. Very good man. We were friends at the academy and fellow classmates. And I'm just going to tell you right now, Vanessa, it was a war zone. And I would like the Democrats to be able to document to me or anyone else that loves Washington, D.C., loves to visit there, loves to take his family there. What have you done since 1992 to lessen the crime in Washington, D.C.? Since that time, at one point, it became the worst violent city in America and one of the top 3 in the world. The murder rate in Washington, D.C. is always at the top of the list in U.S. cities. And like I said, I'll say it again. It was the worst murder city in the United States of America, like 3 years in a row. And then it's always at the top 3. It's the violence there is absolutely out of control. And now we have someone who wants to take care of it. And what do the Democrats who allowed this to happen, who helped cause these problems because of their lack of leadership and their lack of competency? They want to go after the who is actually doing something about it. Absolutely astonishing. And it's obvious that why they really don't like President Trump, because what he does makes them look bad, and it exposes their incompetence. Every time he does something else, make America great again. And these people don't know what else to do except, oh, well, we've got to attack who's making us look bad. Let me tell each one of you Democrats, Nancy, you don't need President Trump's help to look bad. You do that on your own very well.
You're absolutely right. And I think the American people can see through it. We clearly saw that, Sheriff, in 2024 with the winning the presidency, the House, the Senate, and the popular vote. America knows what's going on, and the left is just getting more crazy by the minute. And you see this drug that's out there because, again, we hear about fentanyl, which is a huge problem that we're still battling to this day. But the zombie drug is being mixed into fentanyl. And the video we just showed, I know it's stretched out for a lot of people, which we did just because it's very hard to see, and just in case we have some sensitive people out there. But we show this kind of stuff because the mainstream media will never show it. They don't want you to know. And so I come on and I see it, and I want our people at home to see this is what's going on in our streets. So yes, we need a president to come in and clean up the streets if the mayors or the governors cannot do it. And so I see people like the DC mayor coming in, and she's raising heck, Sheriff, because she's got her city under control, and President Trump does not need to take control with the feds. This is what's happening. You hear about reporters. Caroline Levitt said it today, Sheriff. She says just yesterday you all agreed with him that there's a problem in Washington, D.C. But I, read the headlines this morning and everything switched. You twist the narrative. And so, a lot of the reporters in the press briefing room yesterday told the president, we've been robbed while living here. We are victims of the crime since we've been living here working for, the White House or whatever the case may be. It's everywhere. People are afraid to walk out on their front porch. People are afraid to take the public transit. And it's not just D.C. It's all over the country, like the video we're showing you right now.
It's really sad that the major cultural centers of America have been turned into this, what you're showing right now. Absolutely astonishing. It's despicable. And you're looking at the results of Democrat-run cities. My wife and I and our children and our grandchildren love New York City, but we're not going now. It's just too violent, and I don't want to risk the lives of my children or grandchildren. And so we'll wait until we see what happens. But if Mom Donnie becomes the mayor of New York, I doubt that we'll ever return. And it's obvious that he's going to take it to worse level. He's going to exacerbate the problems and violence facing New York today. And not only that, they're going to lose a lot of companies that hire a lot of people in the New York City area. And Mamdani just doesn't have what socialism and communism, nothing new. And he's going to act like they got some new program. We fought about 5 different wars to get rid of communism, and now he wants everyone in New York to embrace it. And the drug problems we already have enough of, and these so-called leaders are going to make this entirely worse. And I would tell the mayor of Washington D.C., why don't you talk to your police chief? He totally supports, and also the union. They totally support what President Trump is trying to do, because somebody is actually showing some leadership, which Washington, D.C. city lacks big time. And they're trying to do something about this to make it to where Americans want to go there on vacation and feel safe to do so. That story from the reporter was extremely scary. And what are the reporters going to do? The other reporters, are they going to do a story about it? I doubt it.
We will here on Lindell TV, because we know that's what's really going on. Going back to New York, Sheriff, I'm with you. I love New York, always have loved New York, love going, especially during the holidays. I've been, but I haven't been in the last however many years unless it's for work. And I go, I do my job, and I come home. But I won't take a subway. I make sure if I have to spend more on an Uber just to go a couple of blocks, or if I have to, spend more on a hotel just for safety reasons, and I know that they have,
Right.
good security in the lobby, it's just scary. And it's nothing like the New York that I grew up loving, one. And two, I would definitely not take my family there. Especially if this guy becomes governor. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Obama and Newsom. Very smooth, very charming, very gullible. And so these people just flock to them like they're the next big thing, and they're a disaster, as we've seen.
The disaster of socialism and communism is that it destroys individual liberty. Those two forms of government destroy the American, and the founding fathers devised our Constitution specifically to avoid the disasters of socialism and communism. And here we are now with AOC and Bernie Sanders and Mamdani. It's just an American alternative when it's exactly what we formed America to prevent and to keep out of our system for all future generations. Now they want to go back to these failed policies of Hitler and Stalin and Mussolini and Pol Pot and Fidel Castro. And they think it's got some new magic because it's happening with modernized progressive Democrats. It is it is a disaster waiting to happen. And the thing of it is, we can't afford the experiment that they want to force on all of America, but especially New York City. And it looks really like a disaster waiting to happen because he's so far ahead in the polls. It's absolutely un-American, and we've got to have more leadership. Thank you, President Trump.
Absolutely. I wake up every morning thanking the good Lord above, and also go to bed at night in my nighttime prayer, Sheriff, thanking the Lord for President Trump. One quick question before we wrap up. What can we do other than a federal takeover of all of these, blue run cities? What can we do about the drug problem? Because, when you see, if we want to take, for example, Washington, D.C. and the juvenile crime that's there, a lot of these kids, unfortunately, are on drugs when they're committing these crimes, or they're hanging with their own kids. But we see homelessness, we see the drug problem. We've talked about fentanyl, we've talked about the zombie drug. How can we clean up our streets? In my opinion, it starts at home, especially when it comes to juveniles, because in D.C. they have that problem with the juvenile criminal rate.
Well, we've got to get schools and churches and community organizations working together. Realize what we've been doing has failed and failed. We've got to get a new plan of action. What I know, former undercover narcotics officer, I know for a fact we are not going to arrest away the drug problem. We've got to get to the core. We've got to get help from Mexico, and the president of Mexico doesn't want to help. 100% of the government in Mexico is controlled by the cartels. And it's really sad that she's going right along with whatever the cartels tell her to do. Don't cooperate. Don't get in the way of one of the GDP strongholds of Mexico is the drug trade. So yeah, she's not going to cooperate. She's part of the problem. But if we in America would get families involved in this, we've got to strengthen the nuclear family throughout America. And there's no substitute for good parenting, and that's to have both a mother and a father in the home. And Washington, D.C. really lacks that part of this. But we can meet with schools and churches and public officials and police departments and come up with a new way to erect the barriers, the moral barriers against anyone needing to do drugs. And sometimes it is a social need. And we have got to get this act at the grassroots level instead of thinking that putting in prison is going to stop this. We've come up with a new strong churches, families, and schools, and the police, public officials.
You're absolutely
Unless
right.
we do that, do something different, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we have to save them before they get put in jail. That's the last thing we want. We want to save these kids, churches, schools, and especially starting them at home. Always a pleasure to have you on. CSPOA.org. How can people get involved, Sheriff? Always want to talk about that to help you do what you do with your association.
Well, first of all, we offer an opportunity for every citizen to get involved in this process. We have a CSPOA posse, and join now, become a member of our posse, and we'll train you to work with local officials, your sheriff, but all local officials, chiefs of police, city councils, your sheriff's office. We have got to get involved in the process. We can't stand by and watch the parade go by anymore. We've got to get involved, step up to the plate, and be part of the solution. That's what we offer you at CSPOA.org.
All right, Sheriff Mack, always a pleasure to have you on here on Spin Room. Thanks for stopping by and for everything you do.
Anytime, Vanessa. Thanks for having me.
Well, the White House also weighing a historic marijuana policy shift. The Trump administration reviewing whether to reclassify marijuana under federal law. Here's more from our White House correspondent, Kara Castronova.
The federal government still treats marijuana as a top-tier narcotic, yet President Trump is weighing a move that could mark the biggest shift in U.S. drug policy in decades. At today's White House briefing, the president said his team is actively reviewing the change and expects a decision in the coming weeks, telling reporters that the determination, hopefully, will be the right one.
There's reporting that the administration is going to reclassify marijuana. Would that send mixed messages that if marijuana is okay, some drugs are okay, or we're trying to clean up crime? How do they go hand in hand?
We're only looking at that. That's early, but somebody reported it, which is fine. We're looking at it. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Some people hate the whole concept of marijuana because if it does bad for the children, it does bad for people that are older than children. But we're looking at reclassification, and we'll make a determination over the next few weeks. And that determination hopefully will be the right one.
Under federal law, marijuana's current Schedule I status means it's considered to have no accepted medical use and carries the strictest restrictions, tougher even than fentanyl and methamphetamine. Moving it to Schedule III would put it alongside drugs like ketamine, anabolic steroids, and certain prescription painkillers, all recognized for legitimate medical uses. Advocates for cannabis legalization have been making the rounds in conservative media. One of the loudest voices, world heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson, appeared on Fox News with this message.
Just look at me, 30 years ago when I was fighting, and look at me now.
Right. You're a little calmer.
Yeah, I could not live. I was going crazy without cannabis. I was just going absolutely mad, fighting people in the street, giving wild responses back to people who said, "Can I help you?" And then it's done so much for me. It's given me a new life, so to speak.
But the push has its high-profile detractors. Conservative commentator Charlie Kirk warns that the cultural side effects are already too visible.
I think the problem with mass legalization is that it underplays the side effects. I don't think a generation that is regularly using marijuana is a great thing for the country or a great thing for the individual.
Beyond the culture clash, supporters point to justice reform. In recent years, over 70% of federal defendants convicted only of simple marijuana possession, many busted through unreliable drug-sniffing dogs, were sent to prison and walked away with the lifetime stigma of a federal criminal record. Supporters also argue reclassification would open doors for medical research and ease tax burdens on cannabis businesses. And in the words of the champ,
who would you rather have sitting on that couch with you? A cannabis user or a crack user?
The president says the call is coming in just weeks. Supporters say it's high time. Critics, they think the whole idea is a little half-baked. What do you think? Should marijuana's federal status go up in smoke? Reform or restriction? Which way should the country roll? Let us know in the comments below. Reporting from the White House for Lindell TV, I'm Kara Castronova.
So to answer Mike Tyson, who would you rather sitting on a couch next to you, a crack addict or a marijuana user? My answer would be neither. I don't like the smell of marijuana, so I definitely don't want to smell it while I'm sitting on the couch watching Spin Room or Lindell TV. Well, this move could mark the biggest change in U.S. drug policy in decades, so we'll see what happens. Also in Washington, a landmark case being seen by the Supreme Court. It's regarding same-sex marriage, and it could be overturned. This case is brought by former Kentucky clerk Kim Davis, who refused to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. She became a national figure in 2015, so that was about 10 years ago when this all went down. She is asking the Supreme Court to reopen the question of marriage equality. Let's bring in Jim Paff with the Conservative Caucus to discuss this. Oh boy, Jim, here we go. Everyone needs to buckle up for this one. Anytime you have same-sex marriage, marriage equality on the front of, the forefront of what's going on in the Supreme Court, get ready for a showdown.
Well, that's true. The Obergefell decision was a horribly written decision. It's as bad as Roe v. Wade, maybe even in some ways a little bit worse, because there's nothing in the Constitution that gives the federal government authority to do anything on marriage. Now, they use a 14th Amendment argument. They said that it basically saying that all laws should be applied equally, but that really is overkill in this situation. States had already been dealing with this, talking through it, working through legislative processes as well as ballot issues, and had spoken their mind exactly what they wanted. I personally ran the marriage amendment efforts in Kansas and Colorado. Colorado, when I was working at Focus on the Family, it was a massive effort that we undertook, and we won overwhelmingly in a blue trending state at the time. So it's really absurd that we ever went down this path. The argument should be left to the states at the worst. And but what we really need is marriage between one man and one woman as the standard in this country. If you're going to deal with the homosexual issue, it should be outside of the definition of marriage, because we need married mothers and fathers in the home. The social science for 60 plus years proves that having a married mother and father in the home, even when the marriage isn't great, is far better outcomes for children than any other arrangement that exists.
So Davis argues that she was forced to issue same-sex licenses and that it violated her religious freedom rights. So she's arguing that it violates her religious freedom rights, but they're arguing the same thing. I mean, what is this, an uphill battle? Will this ever end? I mean, at what point do we just say, you know, marriage is between a man and a woman and let it be? And, you know, nothing against the same-sex couples, because we all, well, I do, at least I can speak for myself. If, you know, I have great friends who are gay and they're married, and I wish them well. I love them dearly, and that's what they choose, and that's wonderful. But where do we draw the line between issuing a license for a same-sex couple is against my religious beliefs, so I don't want to do it. So yet I'm going to get slapped on the hand just to make sure that you're okay with what you're doing in your own home. Does that make sense? Like, where do we draw the line on that?
Well,
Because
we draw the
argument
line
from both sides.
Yeah, no, we draw the line where government doesn't tell people how to live their lives in any substantial way. And this is an area like people have said, well, you can't tell us that we can't be married. Well, but there's never been a definition of homosexual marriage in law anywhere in the world prior to the West in recent, you know, in modern times, within the last 50 years or so, any thought of it even. So what they're doing is imposing upon people of faith, and people of faith or not, who understand the need for a married mother and father in the home, just telling them, listen, this is the way we're going to do it. This is our experiment, and you can't do anything about it. When there's no nexus in constitutional law to require that to happen from the federal level. Now, I'm with you. By the way, the guy who opposed me in that 2006 Colorado effort, he is married to another man who, FYI, happens to be a huge Trump supporter, and I'm on very friendly terms with him. He respects me because I beat him, and he's actually a very effective political actor. But the reality is that, you know, we can be a culture that does not hate a person for the lifestyle they choose, but we must not be a culture that utilizes government authority to demand compliance with someone's desired social outcome. That is highly violative of any constitutional principle that was laid out from the origins of this country. We had designed this for people to live their lives, make their own decisions. And FYI, there's no need for homosexual relationships to have marriage. There was an argument back when I was working at Focus on the Family where why not just actually on non-marriage terms provide certain arrangements? So because we oppose civil unions, and I worked this out with Dr. Dobson at the time, there was a proposal that we put up called reciprocal benefits, where we just allowed some of these things like inheritance rights and durable medical power of attorney, and some of these things that homosexuals wanted. We said, let's just have a reciprocal benefits arrangements that's not based on homosexuality, but only on arrangements that two adults who otherwise cannot be married may want to undertake. Now, this actually addresses it from a Christian perspective. Dr. Dobson took a lot of heat from that and had to go on Bill O'Reilly's program when Bill O'Reilly was still huge on Fox News and discuss this. But what we said is, don't change marriage. Keep marriage the way it is. It's an important, beautiful, necessary social construct that we've had throughout human history whenever laws have been made about it. So let's keep that. And then if there are certain needs like that, listen, we're a fair society. If someone wants to have those sorts of arrangements, let's do it. Just don't do it based upon how someone has sex. Do it based upon an actual need, whether that's two people having homosexual, a relationship together or not. So there is a compromise here, but giving marriage away to this has not been helpful to society in any manner. It's actually been quite detrimental.
Yeah, it's such a tough topic, and because you have your people who are religious and they just believe marriage is between man and woman, but they support their gay friends and want them to be happy. But like you mentioned minutes ago, Jim, that you have your gay couple saying, well, that's not fair to us. Well, it's also not fair to Miss Davis to issue these licenses if she doesn't believe, if that's against her religious beliefs. So it's not fair to everyone, and it's just, where do you find the happy medium? And I really just don't know if there is a happy medium and if it's always going to be a battle.
Well, the only happy medium is more along the lines of what we proposed through something like a reciprocal benefits, just a contract that people put together so that they don't have to spend money on massive amounts of paperwork if they want to make such an arrangement. Don't make it, though, based upon how you have sex. Make it based upon need or desire for such an arrangement. That's the happy medium ground, in my opinion, unless your ground is to radically change human society. And that's the experiment we've undertook, both on the abortion front and on the homosexual marriage front. We've radically transformed so much of our society by going after social experiments. And they are mere experiments. There's never been a need for homosexual marriage. There's at most been a desire for it. And frankly, it's been used as a political tool to build up a political wave or a political base of support that really has no fundamental foundation upon anything. There's no middle ground, though, when it comes to the benefits of marriage. It's always good for children. There is no arrangement other than having one man and one woman in the home that has ever produced the positive results and positive social outcomes for children than one man and one woman in the home. And marriage is about procreation. Let's just be honest about it. That doesn't mean every married couple has to procreate or else they can't have a marriage. What it does mean is that when we have husbands and wives coming together, that you have a future for society. When you reduce the honoring of that arrangement and that relationship as a normal part of culture, then you are causing society to break down in the future. It's bad enough the wave of single parenthood that has happened over the last 50 years in this country, largely also caused by the government. On a different topic, welfare. Our welfare systems have encouraged having children out of wedlock because the system itself discourages wedlock. So we've really done a lot to harm the family in this country. And the only middle ground is to reverse that entirely in favor of one man, one woman marriages so that we can have beneficial outcomes for future generations.
We'll add that to the list, Jim. Make families great again.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to mortgage fraud. A lot of talk going on right there. Allegations of New York Attorney General Letitia James, California Senator Adam Schiff, Arizona Senator Gallegos, all being accused of mortgage fraud. They've all, denied the allegations. What's your take?
Well, obviously these things have to be adjudicated, but it wouldn't surprise me at all that these people have been doing that. In fact, in Letitia James's case, I'll bet you anything that her desire to go after Donald Trump was in part inspired by the fact that she had gotten by with it, and she knew and she assumed that everyone does these sorts of things. So she went after Donald Trump in that regard, knowing that she was guilty herself. The evidence seems to point to both Adam Schiff and Letitia James. I haven't looked at Ruben Gallegos' situation in Arizona, but Letitia James and Adam Schiff definitely look like they filed documents claiming residency in Virginia and in Letitia James' case in Maryland, in Adam Schiff case. And it's an absurd notion. Like, how can you, when you are a representative of a state, even think to claim residency in and around Washington, D.C.? It's such an absurd outrage. These people are so hypocritical. They screamed and cried for Donald Trump to have to suffer the consequences in the justice system as everybody else, and he's clearly been found not guilty of any of these things, and yet they're actually breaking the rules and in some cases breaking the laws, and they think it's an overreach or it's a political prosecution to be gone after in this regard. But reality is, it seems like they've been caught red-handed and they need to pay the price for it. They need to suffer the consequences for real. I mean, no one is above the law, as they always call for, and they're not above the law anymore. And so we need to press these cases forward, and we need to call these people out for their hypocrisy.
Yes, we do. And, you know, we see all of the accusations, and I think I can speak with most Americans who all want an arrest or more, plural, arrests made. People keep asking, where are the arrests? But, you know, I come from a law enforcement family, and, you know, we like to watch these shows, these crime shows that are 30 minutes, 1 hour on TV, and we start getting into the mindset that crimes can be solved in an hour. That's not the case in reality. It takes months of investigation. So we have to remember that. Trump just got in office in January. It's August. They're coming up with all of these documentations. It takes time to investigate, but I think Americans wanted arrest yesterday. So hopefully we'll see some very soon, and we'll keep everyone updated, because Letitia James, we actually have her accused of some other fraud going on with illegal banking activities through a bank that's located in New York that we've been following. So I hope to have more on that hopefully this week. So we're watching Letitia James very closely here on Lindell TV. Jim Paff, always a pleasure to have you come on. Real quick, we have about 1 minute. Can you tell us about the Conservative Caucus and the things you're doing right now as we get ready for midterms? Yeah,
so we are a 501c4 organization that does get involved in pressing an agenda. We've actually spent about $8 million in independent expenditures in support of Donald Trump last election cycle. We intend to get involved in congressional races this election cycle. You can find out more about what we're doing at theconservativecaucus.com, and sign up if you want to get on our email list and so forth. One big event we have coming up in Nashville at the beginning of November, we're doing a major golf tournament with a major organization. We've already got very well-known celebrities that are going to be involved with it. We haven't yet announced it because we're just finalizing the details now, but it's coming up. People need to go to our website, theconservativecaucus.com. Would love to have Mike Lindell there if he wanted to come, but we'll talk to him about that privately.
Yeah, well, we'll reach out and find out all of the information. I know you haven't announced it yet, but it's good to give us a heads up here on Spin Room, so thanks for that. But we can find out more on your website under the Conservative Caucus. And let's come on. I want you on. Well, you come on often anyway, but to talk more about that golf tournament when announcements start being made. Jim Paff, always a pleasure to have you. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks. Good to talk to you, Vanessa.
Thank you. Well, we have more Spin Room coming up in just moments. We're keeping an eye on the tropics as Tropical Storm Erin gains strength, forecasted to strengthen to a major hurricane. Meteorologist Dana Melancon joins us next from the Weather Center. And as a reminder, we now have a breaking news desk where you can send us story ideas and tips. That email address is on your screen, news@lindelltv.com. If you have something you want to tell us about, just send us an email. Again, that's news@lindelltv.com, and we'll be right back.
The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever, and in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver. With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
We're back with a tropic alert. Tropical storm Erin is gaining strength, expected to turn into a major hurricane by the weekend. Here's our meteorologist Dana Melanson with more from the Weather Center. Hey, Dana.
Thanks so much, Vanessa. Yeah, we know that obviously we are in tropical season as far as the coastal United States is concerned, and we do take a look at other areas that at least are hot spots for tropical development. And at this time, no exception to the rule, with the National Hurricane Center taking a look at actually two different spots that have the potential for tropical development. And I say that sort of loosely because you can certainly see one, which is an area well off the eastern seaboard that has, according to the National Hurricane Center, because of its development and the elements that are in it, 10% probability of formation during the next 48 hours and 10% probability of formation tropical development during the next 7 days. So really, and again, we're not expecting this system at all. Maybe some elevated tidal information for areas around New England and north, maybe into Maine, but that's really about it. A shipping problem and something that they'll be paying close attention to there. The second area is along the Gulf Coast south of New Orleans. You can barely even make it out. Now, there is an indication of the potential for development here, but not during the next 48 hours or 7 days for that matter. So it's that's an area that obviously where the elements are there, not a lot of potential development in progress. But where we are looking at obviously now is our storm in the name of Tropical Storm Erin. Erin could potentially be the first full-fledged hurricane that we see during the 2025 season, and we've got the timeline sort of laid out for you here on the map. By early tomorrow morning, still a tropical storm and still well off of out of the Caribbean scope. By 2 a.m. on Thursday, this could be a Category 1 hurricane, and as we progress toward the weekend, by Saturday morning, maybe Category 2 hurricane. Sunday the same, and these are significant amount of winds around the center of circulation for these storms. Category 3 would be a major hurricane, and certainly it has plenty of room for development. Now, the other element that we have to look at is the potential for it to make landfall anywhere in the continental U.S. And although, again, it is not an exact science, all of the models are in agreement that one lone model that takes this storm out through Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday of next week into areas south of Central America. The rest of the spaghetti models, as we refer to them as, had this storm by Saturday or actually Sunday, making a jettison toward the north and still being mainly a shipping interest. This will certainly be a situation where we have elevated tidal activity for the eastern seaboard from the Carolinas north into New England. Nevertheless, it does not look, at least at this point, and we're far off from it being close to the continental U.S., that Aaron will be a direct threat. Nevertheless, if anything changes, that's what we do here, is keep you abreast of the scenario as it makes itself available to us and all the information. And so we will do that. We'll keep you updated on all of the weather elements right here. Vanessa?
Thanks, Dana. And let's hope for a fish storm. We never want to see one of those storms, especially a major hurricane hit any coast, whether it's the East Coast, the Gulf Coast. But we are approaching that time of year when the waters are really warm and heating up, and that's when those storms start brewing. So we'll definitely keep an eye out. Also keeping an eye on Texas. Politics there taking another sharp turn today. The state's redistricting battle is back in the spotlight, with critics saying the voting maps weaken, that is, the power of minority communities, while Republican leaders defend them as lawful and necessary. It's causing a heated debate in Austin, with buzz being heard throughout the country. Now, just minutes ago, during this hour of Spin Room, the Texas Senate passed the map 19-2. And so guess what happened? The Democrats stormed out of the chamber. They're calling it unfair, so they just stormed out. Well, now the maps head to the Texas House, and if approved, it will secure fair representation. That was a big win today. But now former gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke is facing legal trouble of his own in Texas. Attorney General Ken Paxton announcing today that he's holding Francis O'Rourke, also known as Beto, in contempt for violating a court order and scamming Texans. Paxton says Beto is about to find out that running your mouth and ignoring the rule of law has consequences in Texas, stating it's time to lock him up. Beto and Soros are accused of helping fund the Democrats to flee the state so they wouldn't have the quorum to vote on a redistricting map. The state says Beto continues to fundraise and pay for the personal expenses of runaway Democrat legislators. Beto was issued a temporary restraining order, then told a crowd that he'd still continue to fundraise to help the Dems flee, screaming on a microphone, quote, "F the rules." Now Texas says, we'll show you the rules. God bless Texas, another day of the great state standing strong against the Democrats. More to come here on Spin Room, including a fun moment on Dancing with the Stars. A dancing duo stole the show. We'll take you there and show you next.
Friends, we all know the truth. Big Pharma and the federal bureaucracy have made a mess of health care in this country, and boy, that's an understatement. President Trump signed an executive order to bring prices down, and that's a great step. But we know that real change takes time. There's one pharmacy that is already stepping up. I want to tell you about All Family Pharmacy. They're not waiting. They're taking action now with a summer sale that gives you the power to take control of your health. Right now, through the end of June, you get 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. Did you hear that? 20% off site-wide, no insurance required. They work with licensed doctors in all 50 states, and they ship fast straight to your door. Whether it's ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, methylene blue, antibiotics, emergency kits, or your daily prescriptions, this is a time to stock up. If you believe in medical freedom, if you're tired of waiting for someone else to fix things, do what I do. Take action. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Lindell and use promo code Lindell20, Lindell 20 for 20% off your entire order. That's allfamilypharmacy.com Lindell, promo code Lindell20. Let's protect our families, defend our freedom, and make America healthy again together.
Have you ever wondered what happened to the legendary Chuck Norris? Well, I recently saw a video he made and I was shocked. That guy's amazing and he's staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he's stronger, can work out longer, and even has plenty of energy left over for his grandkids. He did this by just making one change. He says he still feels like he's in his 50s. His wife even started doing this one thing too, and she's never felt better. She says she feels 10 years younger, her body looks leaner, and she has energy all day. Chuck made a very special video that explains everything. Make sure you watch it by going to chuckdefense.com/Lindell. It will change the way you think about your health. Once again, that's chuckdefense.com/Lindell. You won't believe how simple it is.
With the stars. Well, it's Dancing with the Stars Israel that is taking the world by storm. And we love it so much, we wanted you to see. And I'm going to show you the entire dance because you would be mad at me if I cut it off in the middle. So let's watch the entire performance. How fun was that? Love that performance. This judge right here says give them a 10. It was perfect, a perfect score in my book. All right, as we close the show, just some reminders for you. You can join the conversation on our social media pages. You can follow me and Lindell TV on the following platforms listed below: Vocal, Truth, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channels. I am there, Lindell TV is there, fairly new channel, so make sure you go subscribe. So that way if you ever miss an episode or some behind the scenes footage, you can catch it there on YouTube. And of course, Vocal, we're there. That's Mike Lindell's social media platform. Always live there as well. Join the conversation when you join. And also support Mike Lindell if you can. You can go to mypillowtrial.com to donate to his legal defense fund. Any dollar helps. We appreciate all you do for supporting Mike Lindell. You can also go to mypillow.com. Mypillow.com has so many items and so many good sales right now. And for extra savings, all you have to do is type in the promo code Vanessa and you will get extra savings when you do that. Try out the Rev 7, the coffee. You can also go to mystore.com, which has a link there on the MyPillow website. So lots of great shopping. Guess what? It's August, and before you know it, the holidays will be here. So get a jump start. Type in the promo code Vanessa for some extra savings there on mypillow.com and mystore.com. We end the day in prayer, as always. Here's today's Bible verse of the day, coming from the book of Corinthians. It says this: whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. So that means every action, every choice, your attitude in life should reflect God's character, honor Him, and point others toward Him. And that'll do it for us here today on Spin Room. We'll see you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Steve Bannon's War Room is next. I'm Vanessa Broussard, and you're watching Lindell TV.
The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysis are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups.